In a heart-stopping near-death experience, NDE. I'm Sarah. Young girl claims to have visited the afterlife and received a chilling warning about an impending disaster. I will recount an encounter with Jesus, who showed me vivid images of a catastrophic fire engulfing Los Angeles in 2025. The message is clear: this tragedy could forever change the city and its people. My testimony has sparked a wave of reflection, as believers and skeptics alike grapple with the implications of my vision. Could this be a divine warning? If you believe in God and near-death experiences, subscribe to Heaven's Whisper today. Discover inspiring messages from God through powerful near-death stories that bring hope and understanding. Subscribe now and join us in spreading the light of faith. The day started like any other, but it ended with a young girl's life hanging by a thread. At just 20 years old, Sarah's world turned upside down when I was struck by a car while riding my bicycle home from school. The impact sent me into a coma. But what happened next was something no one could have predicted. As my body lay motionless in the hospital bed, Sarah's spirit found itself in a radiant, otherworldly place. A warm, golden light surrounding her and a profound sense of peace she had never felt before. In the midst of this serenity, a figure emerged, a man in white robes with kind, piercing eyes. I instinctively knew it was Jesus. "You have been brought here for a reason," he said, his voice gentle yet firm. "You are not alone in this, Sarah," he said. "I am with you always. And so are the angels who guide you. Remember, this is not about fear but about faith and love." At that moment, I felt a surge of energy and peace like nothing I had ever known. It was as if his words had ignited a fire within me, a fire of purpose, hope, and unwavering faith. I knew that this experience was not an ending but a beginning. The angelic figure reappeared to guide me back. And as I turned to leave, Jesus gave me one last message: share this with courage and love. The world needs to hear it. With that, I began my journey back to the physical world, forever changed by what I had seen and heard. As I stood in awe before Jesus, still processing the overwhelming peace and love radiating from his presence, he gently gestured for me to look again. The light around us shifted, and the serene atmosphere transformed into something entirely different. Suddenly, vivid and detailed images began to unfold before my eyes, like a movie being projected across the sky. I saw Los Angeles, but it wasn't the vibrant, bustling place I knew. Instead, it was engulfed in chaos. Towering flames roared through the streets, consuming buildings, trees, and everything in their path. Smoke rose in thick, dark plumes, blocking out the sun and casting an eerie orange glow over the entire city. The air looked heavy with ash, and the sound of sirens and distant cries filled my ears. Even though I was no longer in the physical realm, the vision was so vivid that it felt real. I could see people running, their faces etched with fear and desperation. Families clung to one another as they fled the flames, while others stood frozen in shock, unsure of where to go. Cars were abandoned on the highways as emergency responders worked tirelessly to control the fire, their efforts seemingly overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the destruction. The fire's intensity was staggering. Entire neighborhoods were reduced to rubble in mere moments. Landmarks that once stood as symbols of progress and unity now lay in smoldering ruins. The roar of the flames was deafening, a monstrous force that seemed unstoppable. Yet, amidst this overwhelming devastation, the resilience of humanity began to shine through. Firefighters braved the inferno, their determination unwavering despite the odds. Volunteers distributed water and supplies, offering solace to those who had lost everything. Makeshift shelters sprang up, filled with strangers united by their shared suffering and hope for survival. Tears streamed down my face as I watched the devastation. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked Jesus, my voice trembling. "Is this going to happen? Can't it be stopped?" Jesus turned to me with a look of infinite compassion and placed his hand gently on my shoulder. His touch seemed to calm the storm within me. "Sarah," he said, his voice resonating with both authority and kindness. "What you are witnessing is not meant to fill you with fear but to awaken your heart and the hearts of others. This fire is a symbol of trials that humanity will face, a test of faith, love, and unity." His words were both comforting and profound. But I couldn't help feeling a deep sorrow for what I had seen. "Why Los Angeles?" I asked, desperate to understand. "Los Angeles," he explained, "is not just a city, it represents creativity, innovation, and the interconnectedness of humanity. But it also reflects the challenges of division, materialism, and neglect of the spirit. This fire is not set in stone, it is a possibility, a consequence of the choices humanity makes. But even in this trial, there is hope. It is a chance for people to come together, to rediscover what truly matters, and to turn back to love and compassion." As he spoke, the images before me shifted. Amidst the chaos of the fire, I began to see glimpses of something extraordinary. Neighbors were helping one another, strangers were offering shelter and food. People were coming together in ways that transcended race, religion, and social status. Acts of kindness and courage stood out like bright beacons in the darkness. God said, "You see, there have been places in the past that have been hit by fires, floods, and huge earthquakes. But people have not been able to wake up and act properly." These words contain a hard truth about human life. Past disasters have shown that the great changes in nature have not only brought material loss but also reflected the impact of human lifestyle and destruction. However, such sufferings have not been enough to make people wake up and act responsibly. Disasters such as the forest fires in the Amazon, Europe, or Asia, the terrible floods in Pakistan, and the terrible earthquake in Turkey are just warnings. These changes send a clear signal that people cannot continue to destroy the environment with impunity. God reminded, these events are not just the consequences of nature, they are symbols, milestones for humanity to realize the value of compassion and solidarity. Only love, understanding and determination to act can bring about change. "Do you see?" Jesus asked, his eyes searching mine. "Even in the darkest times, there is light. And that light is love, the love I have placed within every soul." This fire is not just about destruction, it is about renewal. It is a call for humanity to rise above fear and selfishness and to embrace the divine spark within them. His words filled me with a sense of hope and responsibility. I understood that this vision was both a warning and a message of renewal, a call to action for all of us to live with greater compassion, unity, and faith. The images of Los Angeles lingered in my mind, a vivid reminder of the urgency of the message. I could see that the fire, while devastating, also had the potential to illuminate the strength and goodness within humanity. It was a chance for rebirth, for the city and its people to emerge stronger and more united, guided by love and resilience. I prayed silently, asking for strength and wisdom to carry out the mission entrusted to me. The journey ahead would not be easy, But I knew that with faith, love, and the guidance of the Messiah, nothing was impossible. I realized that this vision was not just a warning but a message of possibility. Humanity had the power to change its course, to choose love over division, and to create a world rooted in compassion and unity. Will they listen? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. That is where you come in, Jesus replied, his gaze steady and filled with purpose. You have been chosen to share this message, to inspire others to look within and to prepare, not just in material ways but spiritually. Tell them to strengthen their faith, to build communities of support, and to remember that they are never alone. I am with them always. As he spoke, I felt a surge of energy within me. A fire of my own, not one of destruction but of purpose and determination. I knew that sharing this vision would not be easy. Some would dismiss it, others might mock it. But I also knew that there were hearts ready to hear it, ready to embrace the call to action. Jesus continued, the fire is also symbolic of personal transformation. Just as fire refines gold, these trials will refine the souls of those who face them. Encourage them to see these challenges as opportunities to grow closer to me, to let go of what no longer serves them, and to step into their true purpose. The scene shifted again, and I saw images of people gathering together in prayer, holding hands and lifting their voices in unity. I saw acts of generosity and compassion spreading like ripples across the world, igniting a movement of love and hope that transcended the flames. These are the moments I cherish, Jesus said, his voice filled with emotion. When my children come together, not out of fear but out of love and faith. The fire you have seen can bring this about. But it doesn't have to take a physical form. If hearts are transformed now, the flames need not come. I felt a deep sense of understanding as his words sank in. This was not a prophecy of doom but a call to action. A chance for humanity to rise to its highest potential. Jesus had shown me both the challenges and the possibilities. And it was up to us to choose the path we would take. Before the vision faded, Jesus looked at me with a love so profound that it brought me to tears. Sarah, he said, remember this, the light always overcomes the darkness. Share this truth with courage and love. And know that I am with you always. As the images dissolved, I found myself once again standing in the radiant light of his presence. The weight of what I had seen was heavy, but his love and reassurance gave me the strength to carry it. I knew that this experience was not just for me, it was a message for the entire world, a message of hope, preparation, and faith. With his final words echoing in my heart, I felt a sense of peace and purpose unlike anything I had ever known. I was ready to return to the physical world and share this extraordinary revelation. As the vivid images of the fire in Los Angeles faded, I found myself standing once more in the divine radiance of Jesus. My heart was full of questions, full of emotion, and full of an urgent desire to understand more. I turned to him, feeling both small in the presence of his greatness and profoundly connected to him. His compassionate gaze invited me to speak freely. So I did. Jesus, I began, my voice trembling. Why must these things happen? Why must there be suffering, fear, and destruction before people turn to you? His response was immediate, his voice calm yet carrying the weight of eternal wisdom. Sarah, he said, suffering is not my will. It is not something I create to punish or frighten. It is often the result of choices made in separation from love and truth. Humanity has been given free will. And with that freedom comes the power to create light or to invite darkness. I realized that this vision was not just a warning but a message of possibility. Humanity had the power to change its course, to choose love over division, and to create a world rooted in compassion and unity. Will they listen? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. That is where you come in, Jesus replied, his gaze steady and filled with purpose. You have been chosen to share this message, to inspire others to look within and to prepare, not just in material ways but spiritually. Tell them to strengthen their faith, to build communities of support, and to remember that they are never alone. I am with them always. As he spoke, I felt a surge of energy within me. A fire of my own, not one of destruction but of purpose and determination. I knew that sharing this vision would not be easy. Some would dismiss it, others might mock it. But I also knew that there were hearts ready to hear it, ready to embrace the call to action. Jesus continued. The fire is also symbolic of personal transformation. Just as fire refines gold, these trials will refine the souls of those who face them. Encourage them to see these challenges as opportunities to grow closer to me, to let go of what no longer serves them, and to step into their true purpose. The scene shifted again, and I saw images of people gathering together in prayer, holding hands and lifting their voices in unity. I saw acts of generosity and compassion spreading like ripples across the world, igniting a movement of love and hope that transcended the flames. These are the moments I cherish, Jesus said, his voice filled with emotion. When my children come together, not out of fear but out of love and faith. The fire you have seen can bring this about. But it doesn't have to take a physical form. If hearts are transformed now, the flames need not come. I felt a deep sense of understanding as his words sank in. This was not a prophecy of doom but a call to action. A chance for humanity to rise to its highest potential. Jesus had shown me both the challenges and the possibilities. And it was up to us to choose the path we would take. Before the vision faded, Jesus looked at me with a love so profound that it brought me to tears. Sarah, he said, remember this, the light always overcomes the darkness. Share this truth with courage and love. And know that I am with you always. As the images dissolved, I found myself once again standing in the radiant light of his presence. The weight of what I had seen was heavy, but his love and reassurance gave me the strength to carry it. I knew that this experience was not just for me, it was a message for the entire world, a message of hope, preparation, and faith. With his final words echoing in my heart, I felt a sense of peace and purpose unlike anything I had ever known. I was ready to return to the physical world and share this extraordinary revelation. As the vivid images of the fire in Los Angeles faded, I found myself standing once more in the divine radiance of Jesus. My heart was full of questions, full of emotion, and full of an urgent desire to understand more. I turned to him, feeling both small in the presence of his greatness and profoundly connected to him. His compassionate gaze invited me to speak freely. So I did. Jesus, I began, my voice trembling. Why must these things happen? Why must there be suffering, fear, and destruction before people turn to you? His response was immediate. His voice calm yet carrying the weight of eternal wisdom. Sarah, he said, suffering is not my will. It is not something I create to punish or frighten. It is often the result of choices made in separation from love and truth. Humanity has been given free will. And with that freedom comes the power to create light or to invite darkness. This fire is a reflection of that darkness. But it can also be a catalyst for light. I struggle to comprehend the depth of his words. But why does it take something so catastrophic for people to change? Why can't they just choose love and unity without the pain? Jesus stepped closer. And his presence seemed to wrap around me like a warm embrace. Because, Sarah, the human heart often clings to comfort and familiarity. Even when those things lead to emptiness or separation. It is through trials that many are awakened to their deeper selves. To the truth of who they are. And to the eternal connection they share with me. It is not the trial itself that transforms, it is the choice made in response to it. I nodded, beginning to see the larger picture. So the fire. It's not just a warning but an opportunity for humanity to rise above its current state. Yes, he said. His voice filled with hope. Every challenge carries within it the seed of transformation. This fire is not an inevitable event, it is a representation of what can happen if hearts remain closed. But if enough souls awaken to love, to compassion, and to their divine purpose, the flames need not come. His words sparked another question within me. How can I, just one person, help to awaken others? How can I make them see what you've shown me? Jesus smiled. His expression filled with encouragement. You are not alone in this. Sarah. You are one voice among many. And your story will ripple out, touching hearts and inspiring change. Speak with courage. Share with love. And trust that I will guide you every step of the way. Remember, even the smallest spark can ignite a great fire of light. The imagery of a spark stayed with me. And it gave me hope. But I couldn't ignore the fear that still lingered in my heart. What if people don't listen? What if they mock or reject this message? His response was gentle but firm. Not everyone will listen. And that is okay. Your task is not to force others to believe but to plant seeds. Some will take root immediately, while others may take time to grow. Trust in the process and know that even when you face resistance, your efforts are never in vain. You are sowing light in a world that desperately needs it. I took a deep breath, feeling both the weight of the mission and the reassurance of his words. What can people do now? Jesus? How can they prepare spiritually for what might come? He extended his hand. And I felt a wave of peace wash over me. Tell them to look within. Sarah. Tell them to strengthen their connection with me through prayer and reflection. Encourage them to let go of fear and embrace faith. Acts of love, no matter how small, create ripples that transform the world. And remind them that they are never alone. I am always with them, ready to guide and support them. I felt a warmth in my chest, as though his words were filling me with a power I didn't know I had. But Jesus, I asked hesitantly, what about those who are already suffering? How can they find hope in the midst of their pain? His face grew even more tender, and his voice softened. Pain can feel overwhelming, Sarah, but it is not the end. It is a doorway to a deeper understanding of love and connection. When people are at their lowest, they often find me, not because I am distant, but because their hearts become more open to receiving my love. Remind them that every tear they shed is seen, every cry is heard, and every wound can be healed. His words pierced my soul, and I felt an overwhelming sense of compassion for those who were struggling. I realized that even in their pain, they were not forgotten. They were being held, guided, and loved by the one who created them. Jesus, I said, my voice steadier now. What about me? How can I stay strong and faithful in this mission? What if I falter? His smile was radiant, and his words were filled with reassurance. Sarah, you are human, and you will face moments of doubt. But remember, faith is not the absence of doubt, it is the choice to trust even when you don't fully understand. Lean on me when you feel weak. Let my love be your strength. And know that you are never walking this path alone. Tears filled my eyes as I felt the depth of his love for me. It wasn't just for me, though, it was for everyone. I understood then that my role wasn't about being perfect or fearless. It was about being willing to share his message, to be a vessel for his light, and to trust him even in the face of uncertainty. As our conversation drew to a close, I felt a sense of clarity and purpose I had never known before. Jesus looked at me with a love so profound that it took my breath away. Sarah, he said, your questions have been the questions of many. And the answers I've given you are not just for you, they are for the world. Go with courage and know that you are loved beyond measure. With those words, I felt a surge of strength and determination. I knew that I had been given a gift, a vision, a message, and a mission. And while the road ahead might be challenging, I was ready to walk it, guided by his light and love. As my conversation with Jesus came to a close, I felt a sense of completeness, as though every question, every doubt, and every fear had been lovingly answered. His words had filled me with courage, and his presence had awakened a purpose in me that I never knew existed. Yet even as I stood in the warmth of his light, I could feel a gentle pull, as if the realm I was in was preparing me to return. I looked at Jesus, my heart heavy with both gratitude and sadness. Do I have to go back? I asked, my voice trembling. This place feels like home. It's so peaceful here, so full of love. I don't want to leave you. Jesus smiled, his eyes filled with understanding. Sarah, he said, I know how much you wish to stay. But your journey on earth is not yet complete. The world needs your light, your voice, and your courage. You were chosen for this mission, and it is through you that others will come to know my love and truth. You are not leaving me, for I will be with you always. And when your time truly comes, you will return to this place forever. His words comforted me, but the thought of leaving such a divine space was still bittersweet. I wanted to hold on to this feeling of serenity, to remain in his presence forever. But deep within, I knew he was right. My purpose had been revealed, and I could not shy away from it. As I prepared to return, the angelic figure who had first guided me appeared once more. It stood beside Jesus, radiating the same love and warmth, and extended a hand toward me. It's time, Sarah, the angel said, its voice as soothing as a melody. I hesitated for a moment, looking at Jesus one last time. Will I remember everything? I asked. Will I carry this peace and love with me back into the world? Jesus nodded gently. You will remember what you need to fulfill your purpose. The peace and love you feel here are not confined to this realm, they are within you. Let them guide you, and you will find that I am always near. With that, he placed his hand on my forehead, and a wave of warmth coursed through my being. It felt as though his love was being imprinted into the very fabric of my soul. I closed my eyes, and the light around me grew brighter, enveloping me completely. Suddenly, the warmth began to shift. The ethereal light dimmed, and I felt a heaviness returning to my body. The serene sounds of the spiritual realm were replaced by the beeping of medical monitors and the muffled voices of doctors and nurses. When I opened my eyes, I was back in the hospital. The room was bright with artificial lights, and my body felt weak and heavy, as if it had been through a great ordeal. I heard a gasp, and when I turned my head, I saw my mother sitting beside me, her face streaked with tears of relief. "Sarah, you're awake," she cried, clutching my hand tightly. The doctors rushed in, their expressions a mix of disbelief and amazement. "She's back," one of them said, almost in shock. Her heart had stopped for nearly 10 minutes. It's a miracle." I could see the exhaustion and worry on their faces. But I also saw something else, a spark of hope. A sense that they had just witnessed something extraordinary. As I lay there, the memories of my experience flooded back. It felt surreal to be back in the physical world after having seen and felt so much. The hospital room, the machines, and the people around me felt strangely distant, as if I were still half connected to the spiritual realm. But then I remembered Jesus' words, "The peace and love you feel here are within you. Let them guide you." I took a deep breath, feeling His presence still with me, and a sense of calm washed over me. Over the next few days, I shared my experience with my family, starting with my mother. At first, she was skeptical, unsure how to process what I was telling her. But as I spoke, tears welled up in her eyes, and she held me close. "Sarah," she whispered, "what you're saying, it's incredible. It's a miracle that you're here. I believe you." Word of my story began to spread, first among close friends and then to the larger community. Some people listened with awe and gratitude, while others dismissed it as a hallucination or a trick of the mind. I expected that not everyone would be ready to hear or understand what I had experienced. But for those who did listen, my story became a source of hope. People began to share their own spiritual encounters, their struggles, and their moments of doubt and faith. It was as if my experience had opened a door for others to explore their own connection with the divine. Despite the overwhelming response, there were moments when I felt the weight of my mission. The responsibility of sharing Jesus' message was daunting, and I sometimes wondered if I was strong enough to carry it. But in those moments of doubt, I would close my eyes, take a deep breath, and remember the warmth of His hand on my shoulder, His voice reassuring me, "You are not alone." One night, as I sat quietly reflecting, I felt an inner nudge, a reminder of the vision I had seen. The fire in Los Angeles was not just a warning, it was a call to action. I realized that my role wasn't just to share what I had experienced but to inspire others to prepare their hearts, to embrace love and unity, and to turn to faith in times of trial. I began speaking at community gatherings, sharing not only the details of my near-death experience but also the lessons Jesus had taught me. I encouraged people to come together, to help one another, and to find strength in their faith. In time, I saw changes taking root. People who had once been consumed by fear or division began to reach out to their neighbors. Acts of kindness and generosity became more common, and a sense of hope began to spread. It wasn't a dramatic transformation, but it was enough to remind me that even the smallest sparks can light a fire of love and unity. Looking back now, I see that my return to earth was not an ending but a beginning, a chance to live with purpose, to share Jesus' light, and to inspire others to do the same. While the path ahead may be challenging, I know that I am never walking it alone. His love is with me always, and that is more than enough. Returning to life after my near-death experience was both a gift and a responsibility. The vision Jesus shared with me, a fire in Los Angeles, was not just a warning of potential destruction but a profound call to action for humanity. His message was clear, even in the face of trials. There is always hope. And through love, unity, and faith, we can overcome anything. Sharing this story hasn't been easy. But I now understand why I was sent back. It's not about predicting the future, it's about inspiring others to prepare their hearts and to embrace compassion and connection. Every act of kindness, every moment of faith, and every choice to love instead of fear creates ripples that transform the world. I hold on to the peace and love I felt in His presence, knowing that it's not just for me, it's for everyone. Jesus' light shines within each of us. And it's through that light that we can face any challenge with courage and hope. I invite you to reflect on this message, to seek love in your own life, and to be a beacon of hope for others. Remember, we are never alone. His love is always with us. If you believe in God and near-death experiences, subscribe to Heaven's Whisper today. Discover inspiring messages from God through powerful near-death stories that bring hope and understanding. Subscribe now and join us in spreading the light of faith.